Now, joining me back here in Ottawa is David McLaughlin, who, among many other assignments you had, once Chief of Staff to former Premier Bernard Lord.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess it's probably the first time we've had you here since the official campaign started.
That's right.
What's your sense? Is it unfolding sort of as you expected it might have? A little quiet, but starting to get going?
Well, it is starting to heat up a little bit, and I think it is starting to unfold along the lines of what has been the top political issue for the last 18 months, 2 years, and that has been shale gas fracking. I mean, there's jobs issues, there's slow economy, there's deficit and debt, but the one issue that has consistently grabbed a lot of heat and light has been shale gas fracking. And so what you have here is a clear divide, which you don't always get in a campaign. You have a clear divide between the Liberals and the Conservatives on whether or not they're in favor of shale gas fracking. So it's a natural issue for David Alward to push and say, I'm in favor of it. And the other guy, Brian Gallant, he says he's really, Mr. Moratorium. It's
waiting for science.
Waiting for science. That's a no. In an election campaign, if you're explaining, you're behind, and that's a no. So you have a nice divide sort of shaping up on that front, and that, we'll see whether that plays to Mr. Alward's advantage.
Thinking back sort of a modern New Brunswick political history, it swings, a majority Conservative, majority Liberal, back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. In this particular case, I'm wondering if Alward, or let me get your sense, is he looking to win some geographies? In other words, say the southern part of the province, where some of this fracking is more controversial, on the Acadian coast, okay, that's going to be the Liberal territory. You got some thoughts on that?
Well, there's definitely some geography in this. I mean, look, you love to win all the ridings. Only Frank McKenna did that once in 1987. You just have to get enough for the majority. And so what you have is you have redistribution this time out. There are fewer ridings, 49 instead of 55 last time. And so some of those plays, advantage the Liberals, some advantage the Conservatives. So yeah, when you're an incumbent government and behind, you are really trying to grab enough of those seats that you've got, retain what you have with incumbency and get some of those target ridings, no question. He's Kent County, where you see the fracking, been problematic and protests.
That's where we see the LC Poctoc process, et cetera.
That's right, and that. So some of that area has been traditionally Liberal, though, Conservatives have, at least one seat there. Sussex area, where you have some potash, you have mining, and you have some other natural gas wells there.
That's where the Premier opened up his campaign?
That's right. So is more Conservative traditionally. So he's got to hold that while maybe ceding a little bit of territory to the Liberals, basically saying that, look, I've got too much ground to pick up in the short election cycle.
On the fracking issue, and the Premier's trying to explain, hey, fracking's safe, and he's using it by saying, look at what they're doing out west. Look what Saskatchewan's doing, 157,000 wells, no problems. So he's making that. He's getting a little bit of help from groups like the St. John, I think it's Board of Trade.
Board of Trade, that's right.
Which is saying resource development, and this is really a big issue, and we can do it safely. Here's a variety of reports. Does he need more help like that from third parties, business groups? Have they got to, if they want, if they believe in this, have they got to jump in and help here?
Well, no question. It would help either the government to be saying yes, or if you're in the opposition or against it, have other groups come out and say no. But it is an economy issue. It is a jobs issue. I mean, go back to it overall. The jobs story in New Brunswick is not a happy one. The economy has been it's been trundling along, not great. You've done some work on showing some of the analysis yourself, David. So, what's left? What's left for New Brunswick to really grab onto to kind of shake itself out of these economic doldrums and that? And so the energy economy is one that obviously offers some benefits. Energy economies in New Brunswick have better finances, they have better annual incomes for citizens, and they have better economic outputs in terms of jobs. So there, David Alward has something to work with and say, look at what's happening in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Newfoundland and Labrador, the only province with job growth in Atlantic Canada. So he's got
I think in Labrador, the unemployment rate is 3% right now.
There you go. I mean, well, it's Manitoba levels, 3 and 4% out west. So, no question, if you have an energy-based economy, you do better in today's, modern economy. So that's something that David Alward is going to push. And so, having these business groups come out in favor of it, because the alternative for them is really, higher corporate taxes, which in fact, Brian Gallant, the Liberals, are offering up already.
New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, two very different provinces. Obviously much more bilingual, officially bilingual in New Brunswick. That said, a couple of Atlantic Canadian provinces facing similar challenges just went through an election this year. And I wonder if all sides in New Brunswick may have looked to see how Stephen McNeil, the Liberal, won in Nova Scotia, which was going in as the leader, don't get pinned down on anything, don't change your mind, stay the course. And then if you're either Dominic Carty or David Alward, how do you start chipping away at the popularity of a Liberal leader. That's tough in a short campaign.
Well, sure, and that's exactly what Brian Gallant seems to be doing. You know, frankly, he's ahead in the polls, so he's got kind of a broad-based platform, a little of this, a little of that. Try not to make any waves, nothing too controversial. So what you do is you make controversy. If you're the other guy, you try to make that position controversial. You know, yes.
Are you surprised Gallant does this abortion thing? Because he's getting hit from both sides, and you know that's political third rail stuff.
Absolutely, and you know, he's gonna. This is where the waffling starts to become an issue. See, the problem for Brian Gallant going into this campaign as well, he seems to be new and young and fresh. He's also not known, and when you're not known in politics, you're a blank slate.
Which can be good or can be bad.
That's right. And so he has to realize, and others looking at it have to realize that for the first time, really, the majority of voters are actually seeing him in action. And, you know, the legislature's not always well covered. You don't always watch that. So they're going to decide on this basis whether or not he's up to that job and that. And so the framing of him as a yes-no person, yes on some things, no on something else, it can be very damaging to his political persona. And that's really where the opposition, or where the Conservatives and the NDP are going to push. So,
I think
and we're seeing that kind of campaign show up already.
Yeah, we just coming up to week 1. David McLaughlin, thank you so much for helping us out. All right.